He's a mentor and a longtime member of this community, Iskcon Toronto. He also does, he's a big book distributor, so any of you have any questions about the books he'll speak about tonight, please ask him. And we also have a book table just at the front. He first received the Bhagavad Gita, which he'll be speaking about tonight, from a devotee at a train station in Mumbai. And then it was later here in Toronto at the Rath Yatra, where himself and his wife kind of took to this process of Krishna consciousness. So thank you so much, Mahabhagavat, for being here tonight.
So we'll begin with bhajan, Jaya Radha Madhava. It's just 4 lines, easy to follow along. If you can have a devotee, please get it on the screen in case people don't know the words, that would be awesome. But it's very simple, it's very easy to follow along with. Jaya Radha Madhava. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananda Koti Vaishnava in the team. Thank you very much for choosing to spend your Sunday evening with us here at Iskcon Toronto. Our hope and our focus is to use your attention for your benefit. But before we start the class, the discussion, we'll just offer respects. Again, make some prayers so that everything that we say here will be beneficial and pleasing. Beneficial to everybody and pleasing to our authorities, to those our beneficiaries. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you again. Today we will read from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We don't have a laptop here, so we have? It's coming? Okay, so we'll read from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9. The Bhagavad Gita as it is. There are hundreds of editions of the Bhagavad Gita in the world, in various languages, and I have read at least a dozen of them, starting from the age of 7. But it's only when I read the Bhagavad Gita as it is that the message of Sri Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita, actually became clear in my mind, and I was able to understand what I am supposed to do with this information. Because if you don't hear the Bhagavad Gita from the right source, it seems like a series of contradictory statements that Krishna is constantly contradicting himself all over the place if you don't have the right context. So this is very important because it's a very profound conversation in just 700 shlokas, 1400 lines in all. The entire essence of the entire Vedic literature has been described. Only God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can do such a thing. So the Bhagavad Gita as it is extremely valuable. It's completely changed my life, and I'm highly recommending everybody should take this Bhagavad Gita as it is super seriously. It's going to, you will see what it does in your life. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please repeat word by word. Janma, Karma, Chame, Divyam, Evam, Yo, Veti, Tattvataha, Tyaktva, Deham, Punar, Janma, Naiti, Mam, Eti, Sovarjuna, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, Evam Yo Veti Tattvataha, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. Please also repeat the translation after me. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The Lord's descent from His transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. Please repeat this sentence. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain, okay, we can continue reading. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not return the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita 5:33, it is stated that the Lord has many forms and incarnations. Advaitamadshutamanadimanantarupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction. Although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas, Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurakto Bhaktavyapi Bhaktahridyantaratma. The translation is, the one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many transcendental forms in relationships with His unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculations, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tat Tvamasi, is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says to the Lord, says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly. Let's say this, you want to be liberated instantly?
Yes.
So, Radha Kirti or Gopinath are there behind the altar. They can see us even though we cannot see them right now. Okay? We'll say this, you are the same Supreme Brahman.
You are the same Supreme Brahman.
The personality of Godhead. Okay, good. Is certainly liberated instantly, And consequently, his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. Is what?
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection. And this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tameva viditvati mrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate yanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. Is there any other way to achieve this perfection? No other way to achieve this. This is from the Shetvashatra Upanishad 3.8. That there is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up, mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Let's repeat that last line. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Okay. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation and your kind attention to Srila Prabhupada's words. We are presently in the sacred month of Kartik. Everybody knows about the sacred month of Kartik. One of the first classes was given by Shubhavilas Prabhu, who has said that repeatedly over the years, and it should sink in that Krishna is actually conducting a sale, and he's giving away what is not achievable after millions of years and millions of lifetimes of birth and death, old age and disease, and all kinds of different kinds of attempts. He's giving away that just for someone who makes a small attempt in this month of Kartik. Okay, so he says that Kartik is very special because there are many festivals, many pastimes that took place here. Too many to actually list out. There are hundreds and thousands of events, and each of those pastimes is actually full of tremendous significance. And I was reading the commentary just on the we sing a song at 8 o'clock. Is Abhay going to lead the song at 8 o'clock? Yes? No, we don't know. We don't know who's leading the song at 8 o'clock, but someone amazing is going to lead this song. It's called the Damodar Ashtakam. It will be here on the screen, and then everybody will sing along. There are 8 verses in this Damodar Ashtakam, and one of our teachers, Sanatan Goswami, has actually created a commentary called the Dikdarshini Tika or commentary. And in this commentary, I was just, I've been reading this commentary for a long time now, but you can see that each line of this commentary, we can reflect on it for hours and hours and days and days. Each line of the commentary of this Dikdarshini Tika. So, and this is not the only commentary on this Damodar Ashtakam. So it's extremely deep. We don't have the time necessarily to go into all of the details here right now, but I'm encouraging you to focus on the translations of the words that you will be singing at 8 o'clock, and then to sing that with great love and devotion, because you can actually purchase Krishna with this song. You can purchase him just by singing this song once. Okay? So, in the Damodar Leela especially, there are many Leelas. Damodar means the one who is tied up by his belly with a rope. That's what Damodar means, and that is the name of Krishna. You will see him on the altar on the left, on our left hand side of the center altar. You will see a little small altar there with Damodar, or little blue Krishna, little boy, little baby Krishna, not baby, toddler kind of, who has been tied up to a wooden grinding mortar by his mother. And this pastime is extremely sweet, and you can see that and reflect on that pastime yourself. It actually shows Krishna's love for his devotees and his devotees' love for Krishna, and how even the supreme, unconquerable, Ajita, is conquered by the pure love of his devotee and who agrees to be bound up just like an ordinary child. You know? So, but it's very important to note that anybody who reflects on this tying up of Damodar and all the pastimes that he did while he was being tied up and before he was being tied up and after he was tied up is actually something that liberates a person. So you will never find this anywhere in the world, you know. Somebody can get tied up, somebody can get imprisoned, somebody can go to jail for 10 years, 20 years, the whole lifetime or hundreds of lifetimes. But you will not find that anybody is actually getting liberated by hearing about this getting imprisoned or getting bound up. But if you hear simply about Krishna getting tied up by his mother, you will be liberated. Okay? So this is very, very special. Okay? Why is that? Because all of us here in the material world, we are struggling. You know, we are struggling with birth, death, old age, and disease. We are struggling with three kinds of miseries: those which are caused by internal, and those which are caused by external agents, and those which are caused by other living entities. Right? Everybody feels the cold. Everybody feels the heat. Everybody feels earthquakes and floods. Everybody is going to get old, and everybody is going to die. So if you are 20 years old, then you already died for 20 years. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. If you are 5 years old, you already died for 5 years. Okay, if you are 1 day old, you already died for 1 day. Right? And it's death is as sure as death. You can escape taxes, especially if you hire a good tax lawyer, but you cannot escape death, no matter what you do. Okay? So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamaivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Krishna says that we are all part and parcel of him. You know, we are part and parcel. We are not separated. Part and parcel means we are a part, but we are never separated from Krishna. Part and parcel. Parcel means one that is tied together. So my spiritual master just recently gave an example. The state of Texas, which is presently in the United States of America, not very long ago was actually a part of Mexico, right? And so it was a part of Mexico and parcel of Mexico as well. But now the state of Texas is now part of the United States of America. So now you cannot say that the state of Texas is a part and parcel of the United States of America. It's currently just a part of the United States of America. Similarly, however, what is different about us is that we are never separated from Krishna. You know, we might separate ourselves from Krishna, but Krishna does not separate himself from us. And inside every one of our hearts, even the heart of a tree, the heart of an insect, the heart of a pig, or a dog, or any kind of living entity, Krishna is personally existent in the form of Paramatma. Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati, Brahman Sarvabhutani Antarudhani Maya. All of us are traveling on this vehicle made of Maya, where we are thinking that we are these chemicals that make up this body, but actually we are not, right? We are eternal associates, personal associates of Krishna, right? So all of us are actually, technically, when we strip out all of these material coverings that bind us, the material coverings that are in the form of our gross material body and the material coverings that are in the form of our subtle material body, which is the body, mind and intelligence, when we strip this apart, we are all actually pure devotees of Krishna, right? So, but unfortunately we are suffering from amnesia. We are forgetful of the fact that actually we belong to Krishna and Krishna belongs to us. Like we have completely forgotten this particular fact. So what is this International Society for Krishna Consciousness? We are offering the world's best amnesia treatment. Okay, there is no organization in the entire universal arrangement which is actually supplying this basic understanding that, my dear sir, you are a part and parcel of Krishna. What are you doing wasting your time here? Right? You are completely wasting your time here, suffering birth and death and thinking that you are beholden to some boss in the material world. Or that something actually in the material world is actually going to make us happy. No, it's not possible. Just as you cannot make a fish happy by bringing him to the land and giving him a couch and all sorts of luxuries, you cannot make him happy. You have to put him back in the water. So you will only be happy when you go back into the water of your eternal Krishna consciousness. Krishna actually loves us more than we can ever love him. It's a fact. You know, we find that some of you are parents and you find out that you definitely love your child more than your child loves you back. You know, it's a fact. It's the nature of the world. Our parents always love us more than we love them back. Right? So Krishna, being our eternal parent, actually loves us a lot, and he is trying every possible means to bring us back. He comes himself, he sends his pure representatives, he leaves behind these books for us to read and to learn, right? But there is one thing Krishna will not do, and that is, he will not drag us back to the spiritual world against our wishes. So if you want to stay here, if you want to experience repeated birth and death, Krishna will say, I will be with you for as long as you need me to be with you in this material world, but I will not drag you back into the spiritual world. Because love cannot be forced. You can't put a gun to someone's head and say, you say I love you, otherwise I'll blow your brains out. You cannot say that. You cannot do that. It's impossible. That's not love. Love does not function in that way. Love is willing. Love is completely voluntary. So therefore, since you are since you are a part and parcel of Krishna, each one of us has actually what is known as free will. So you can leave Krishna or you can love Krishna. And Krishna is very secure in himself that if you leave Krishna, he does not feel insecure. And if you love Krishna, he does not feel that you are doing something completely. You can't completely overwhelm Krishna unless your love is absolutely pure, in which case you will be bound up by your love. Just like Mother Yashoda bound up Krishna with her love. Right? So, there are many examples in our scriptures, many examples of devotees who actually became Krishna conscious and became extremely serious about being in harmony with the will of Krishna. So, for example, the Bhagavad Gita is a prime example. Okay, at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was not in harmony with the desire of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna had a plan to eliminate all of the belligerent forces on the planet, 640 million of them, right, at one stroke. Right? When Krishna kills, he kills in one stroke, like one earthquake and 10,000 people gone, right? Like it's very, very efficient. He does not waste time. Right? So the battle of Kurukshetra was actually like that. It was 640 million belligerent warriors who would have burdened the earth with their power and their strength and their excess energy. This was a plan for him to eliminate all of them, take them out of the equation completely. Right? So at the beginning, because some of those warriors were actually Arjuna's family members, Arjuna was not in harmony with Krishna's desire to eliminate them. So Arjuna was putting all sorts of arguments, and you can see these arguments in chapter 1, and his questions, which are actually in the form of questions, but they're actually arguments in chapter 2 as well, and throughout the Bhagavad Gita. So, but Arjuna, in about 1.5 hour, approximately, or 45 minutes, some people say, was completely in harmony with Sri Krishna. So it took him about 1.5 hour. Okay, Arjuna was never actually separated from Krishna, but this was an arrangement, right? And this is another example of a devotee who actually became Krishna conscious, or externally, it appears that he became Krishna conscious in about 7 days and 7 nights, and that is Maharaj Parikshit. He was cursed to die in 7 days. A Brahmana boy cursed him that in 7 days a snake will come and bite you and you will be finished. And Maharaj Parikshit then said, what is the duty of a dying man? And he sat down and he heard the Bhagavatam. So if you haven't seen the Bhagavatam, we have a Bhagavatam set outside, and you can see that, and you can read it, and you can see these interactions of the duty of a dying man. And who is not dying? Can you tell me? Like, who's not dying? We already discussed that. You've already died for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. And the more you have died, the less you have to live, correct? Your life is not endless, isn't it? Everybody thinks. In fact, in the conversation between Yamraj and the god of death, who appeared as a yaksha, the question was asked, what is the most surprising thing in the world? And Yudhishthira Maharaj gave the perfect answer, which is the most surprising thing is ahani gachanti yamalayam. Like, they are all going to the house of Yama. They are all going, but they say, oh, he will die, she can die, I will not. I will be safe. I will live forever. You know, we are thinking, Maharaj Parikshit had 7 days to live, and Srila Prabhupada says in one of his classes that we are acting as if we have 7 million years to live. We may have 7 more million lifetimes, but we also have 7 more million deaths. Right? So that's very important for us. So Maharaj Parikshit accomplished this in 7 days and 7 nights. And then this, if you think, oh, 7 days and 7 nights, that's a little too much. Okay, I want something quicker, you know. It's the age of instant gratification, isn't it? You want something instantly, right? You want instant gratification. If you want instant gratification, you have to take the example of Maharaj Khatwanga. Khatwanga Maharaj was a great warrior. He was the emperor of this planet, but he was enlisted by the demigods, right? No matter how powerful someone is in the material world today, has anybody been enlisted by Indra to say, can you come and fight on my behalf? Okay, come help me here. I need some help. You know, there's some big conflict going on a universal scale, and I need your help. Okay, but Maharaj Khatwanga was actually invited, right? And he fought for thousands of years and he defeated the enemies of the demigods. And then the demigods were thankful to him and they said, okay, Mr. Khatwanga, we are very, very pleased with you. Thank you very much. You can ask us for anything that you like, you know. And Khatwanga was extremely smart. He says, before I ask these gentlemen and ladies what they might be able to give me, let me, you know, they are higher powers and they have more information than me. So let me ask them, how long do I have left, you know, to live? Because I can ask for, you know, all sorts of things, and it all depends on how long I have left, right? Would you like to find out how long you have left? Actually, no, because it will destroy your chances of living peacefully. So that's why you don't know when you will die. But Maharaj Khatwanga was very, very bright, and he asked this question, and the demigod said, actually, in about a muhurta, you know, you have about a little bit of time left here in this body. And then Maharaj Khatwanga immediately said, thank you very much, my dear sirs, you have given me very important information, and sat down in that one muhurta. You know, he became completely Krishna conscious, and he went back home, back to Godhead when he quit his body. And then you might say, I'm not sure my meditation is going to be so strong that I can be Krishna conscious in the next half an hour, you know, or 48 minutes, or however long the muhurta is. Right? Then there's the opposite example of the lady, the great saint Shabari in the Ramayana, whose spiritual master says, you sit here and you prepare this ashram for Lord Ramchandra, and he will come and he will take your service. He will accept your service. Okay, so she was a young girl when her spiritual master gave her this instruction. She waited and waited and waited. Every day she would clean the pathway, every day she would sweep the heart, every day she would collect fruits from the trees in the forest, and every day she would wait for Lord Ramchandra to show up. And Lord Ramchandra did not show up. So she waited and waited and waited and waited and waited for a long, long time. But one fine day, it did happen that Lord Ramchandra walked on the very path that she had cleaned and decorated with flowers. Every day she was doing this. Every day she was doing this. And every day she got to personally feed. And you can see that her love for Lord Ramchandra was not any different from his mother's love for Lord Ramchandra. Because what does a mother do? You know, she mixes the food, she tastes it herself first. Is it okay? And then she will feed the child, right? So Shabari tasted each berry personally and said, sour, sweet, and she separated all the berries. She kept the sweet ones for Lord Ramchandra. She would do that every single day, by the way. You know, and she did that for decades and decades until Lord Ramchandra finally came, and she offered him these half-eaten berries. And Lakshman, who is Lord Balaram himself, said, "What are you doing, Shabari? You can't offer him." You know, no, but he says, "No, this is. I will relish these berries." And Lord Ramchandra personally ate. So you can see that actually becoming Krishna conscious has a clear and repeatable result. You know, it's a process. It's not some hocus pocus. However, Prabhupada quotes this verse very often. He says, "Atah Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriye sevonmukhi jibhado swayameva spuratyada." He says, "Atah Shri Krishna Namadi." You cannot realize Krishna with your blunt senses, with your material senses. It's impossible to realize Krishna. How is it possible then? He says, you engage in the service of Krishna. If you want to know someone, even in the material world, you engage in their service. You invite them to your house and you feed them, then you find out what they like and what they don't like, right? You spend some time with them, trying to serve them. When our spiritual masters come, we serve them, right? So that's the way actually to understand Krishna, when Krishna reveals himself, when we serve him. So this service is extremely important, especially because we just discussed this, that there is no actual guarantee of how long we are going to live, right? There's no guarantee how long we are going to be able to do the things that we take for granted, right? Any one moment, you know, somebody can have a stroke, somebody can have an accident, you know. There was an accident on Avenue Road just a few minutes before we came into the temple. You know, things can happen in a flash. It's not possible to predict how things are going to work out in the material world. So what we have to do is we have to be in the consciousness of Khatwanga Maharaj, and we have to do what we can with what we have right now. You don't wait for next year, you don't wait for the next decade, you don't wait for the next lifetime. You do what you have with what you have right now. Because right now is the only thing that you have, right? Right now is my body is strong. Right now my power of speech is working. Right now my brain is actually functioning. Right now my limbs are functional. Right now I can see Krishna. My eyes are actually connected to my brain, which is actually functioning because my whole body is working. Right now is what I have. Right? So that's what I want. What Srila Prabhupada said, take this very seriously and urgently. Don't sleep. Don't sleep. In the morning, when it's time to wake up for Mangalarti, don't sleep. Don't waste your time sleeping. That's what Srila Prabhupada, I'm repeating Srila Prabhupada's words here, okay? So, Srila Prabhupada is saying to us, don't sleep. Don't waste your time in this useless activity of sleeping, okay? Everybody requires some amount of rest. So Srila Prabhupada recommended 6 hours. You might need a little bit more, you might need a little bit less. Right? However, don't spend half your lifetime sleeping, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16 hours sleeping. Especially, it's a pastime in Canada, especially. On the weekends, what do people do? Sleep. Right? What a waste of time, right? What a waste of life, human life. Dogs sleep, cats sleep, pigs sleep, and humans also spend your life sleeping. Right? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are the 4 activities that animals do. And if you and me, we all do these kinds of activities, then what's the difference between us and animals? Is there any difference? We are just animals with 2 feet, that's it, and 2 hands. Dvipada Pashu. There's even a word in the scriptures for people like who do these kinds of activities called Dvipada Pashu. What's that word? Dvipada Pashu. Animal with 2 legs. It's the Dvipada Pashu, right? Who just eats, sleeps, mates, and defends, right? So, I don't want to make you super uncomfortable, but I do want to make you, please remember this fact that life is short, it's highly unpredictable, and most of life is lost in all sorts of things that are unavoidable, right? So, we in Iskcon, Srila Prabhupada taught us what is known as Vaidhi Bhakti, or Bhakti followed with rules and regulations. People say, what's this rules and regulations? I don't like rules and regulations. What happened to love? You know, love is without rules. Love is without regulations. Who are you to tell me, right, how I should love my Krishna? Okay, I'll tell you something. Have you ever dropped off a loved one to somebody to take care of, like a child or a pet? Or even a project that you handed off to someone when you went on mat leave or when you went on leave somewhere? Like, did you hand off something to them? How many instructions did you give them? Don't give this child sweets after 6 o'clock. Here are the raincoats. Here are the gumboots. Make sure his ears are covered if he's going out in the cold. Right? He doesn't like this. Oh, if you give that to him, his knees will pain. Like if you're talking about some elderly person. Right? Don't give this stuff. He cannot digest this. How many instructions you will give before you leave a loved one with somebody else? Right? Or one of your objects. Right? Maybe you want somebody to take care of your home or a plant. Right? How many instructions do you give them? Right? What if you are giving your child your own mother or your own father? Don't they love them? But still you tell them, don't give him this kind of food. Not too much sweets, okay? Make sure he brushes his teeth before he goes to sleep. Why? Your mother doesn't love him? Right? Why are you giving all these instructions to that person? Because of your love. So all the rules and regulations that are there in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness are actually a manifestation of someone's love for Krishna. Right? And if you find these rules and regulations to be too onerous, too difficult, then my dear sir, my dear madam, please let me tell you that you are way below the standard of love. Because love means going above the rules and regulations. Srila Prabhupada said chant 16 rounds. And people say, oh, 16. Who's going to have chant 16 rounds? People say, can I start with 1? I started with 1 actually, only on the weekdays. And I was like, I couldn't fathom why these people are telling me to chant 16 rounds, and now I can't get enough of this chanting, right? It's completely nectarian, completely transforming. Thank you for the word. So I'm asking you to please, there are the 4 regulative principles, okay? These 4 regulative principles are what separate us from the animals, okay? And the first one is no meat eating, right? Don't eat meat, fish, eggs. All those things will actually keep you in the material world for longer. Every living entity, actually, even vegetarian food has that impact. Whatever you kill, you have to come back as that, and that entity will kill you. Mamsa khadati, right? That's what it means. Meat means you eat me, I eat you. That's what it means. The same thing for plants also. You eat me, I eat you, right? So everything that you eat without offering in sacrifice to Sri Krishna, dear sir, dear madam, you're going to be taking that many births in the material world. Okay, this is Karthik, so I'm telling you all of this because it's important for all of us to know this. Don't go to those blasted restaurants where they serve you this food that makes you come again and again in the material world. Don't eat this nonsense food. Okay, eat Krishna Prasad only. Don't eat any other food because otherwise you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer and you're going to cry and you're going to lament and you're going to be cut alive. This is the problem. I don't want to be too heavy, but this is the fact. Okay? Vegetarian food is not good for you. Krishna Prasad is the only thing that humans should be eating. Okay? Which is what is very important here. Krishna Prasad that Hanuman Prabhu is going to serve all of us, and that Dwarkanath Prabhu and his team have cooked downstairs. That is the Krishna Prasad. It's very super important. So Govinda is not an ordinary restaurant in that regard, right? So all these things are very, very special. But no meat eating. No intoxication. Give up this tea and coffee and tobacco and alcohol. It's going to kill you by health. Not leave alone kill your spiritual life. You won't know anybody who is indulging in intoxication, forget about spiritual life. You cannot have a spiritual life drinking tea and coffee and alcohol and tobacco. No chance. Not possible. Okay, no gambling. If you do want to gamble, we have spots in the ashram. Okay? Come and join us. Right? If you want to gamble, give Krishna your life and see what an amazing result you're going to get. Right? Don't gamble on lotteries, lucky draws, and lottos, and whatever Supermax and all this nonsense that people are selling. Don't get into that stuff. No gambling. And the final 4th one that's going to keep you bound up is no illicit sexual activity. Like, do not indulge in sexual activity outside of procreation. It's not meant for recreation, meant for procreation. These are 4 rules that you should not do. And the one thing that you should do is chant Hare Krishna incessantly and serve the devotees of Krishna as much as you can. Right? That's the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. What is the key difference? In the material world, everybody is looking to be served. And in the spiritual world, everybody is looking to serve. So this is actually the spiritual world. Don't bring this material tendency into the temple. Right? Don't be in a situation where you're expecting to be served. Right? Do your best to serve. And don't go from this temple. You have come here all this way. You have taken the effort to come all the way to the temple, driving, transit, walking, whatever you have done. Right? But don't go away from this temple without rendering some service. Right? You can render service in so many different ways. Right? You are actually rendering service now, but you can render service in so many different find ways in which you can serve. Mother Kumari is always looking for people to clean up. Right? She's always looking for people not to throw their plates just like that. Right? Don't put liquids into that plastic bag, please. Right? Because it leaks. And it leaves a mess everywhere by the time you take it down. Can you imagine a trail of juice and water and all this, the gravy from your dal and all this saliva and stuff flowing everywhere down on the till we take it to the garbage room? Use your intelligence, right? And all of you who have come to Canada have to have been intelligent in order to get past all the millions of barriers, right? So chant Hare Krishna, serve the devotees of Krishna with your time, with your effort, with your money, and with your influence. Right? Convey this message that life is short. Chant Hare Krishna, you are not this body. Convey these messages from Srila Prabhupada to everybody you meet. Yarida ko kare kaho, Krishna upadesh. Right? Become a guru in your own circles. Right? This is your duty. This is what you need to do. Right? So ultimately, I want to just conclude by saying that Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti Sadhya Kabu Noe Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karai Uday. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. That you have to basically learn some new things and adopt some new lifestyle, etc. It's actually asking you to get back to your original position and actually asking you to take away the things that are causing us to remain bound up here in the material world. Okay? So this Damodar Leela, who knew all of this stuff was behind the Damodar Leela, right? So you were expecting a great story, but you have heard that story many, many times. Right? But this is the significance of what is happening in the Damodar Leela. And this is the reason why Mother Yashoda gets to do what she's doing, which is take a stick and run after Krishna, catch him and tie him up and so on. This is the interactions that she gets. And they're extremely sweet. And spiritual life is actually extremely sweet once you get rid of the bitterness that comes from the material world. Right? Sometimes when you start spiritual life, this happens. And there's a lot of bitterness still lingering. But you will find that as you follow the spiritual process, as you hear about Krishna and as you serve Krishna, all this bitterness will be washed out of your heart. And all that will be left is the sweetness. Right? So I'm begging you and requesting you to please chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times with all your love and attention. And before that, we'll express our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada by saying, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay, Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times together. 1, 2, 3. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One last time, all your Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Bhagavad, for reminding us that time is short. On that note, time is short, so we'll be very quick with our announcements tonight. So just quickly, the Fun School, which many of you may be aware of, is for children, and it is available. There's spots open. All the information is on the board, just right when you exit the tunnel. And there's the pizza contest for anyone who is familiar. Your children can enter. Please enter. We have a few sponsors tonight that we will announce for.
Yes, so it takes a lot to run this program every Sunday, and so we really appreciate all the sponsors who do help us out every week. And so today we actually have many sponsors starting different things, so I'm going to go through them very quickly. And if you are here, we do have gifts for you, so please visit the front desk, and one of our representatives will give you that gift. So very quickly, we have Sunita Vishwas family on occasion of her birthday. We have the Sharma family in India, so that's Prem Kumar, Shashi, Laura, Natasha. And it's happy birthday to Shashi and Laura. We have Abhilash Jambi. Thank you to Shushi Radhakrishna for a successful start in new life in Canada. Amazing. Saraj Nagwal family. And then today we also have Name Mataji and finally one anonymous. So let's please show our appreciation by taking our applause.
Finish our thank yous. The entire production here takes quite a few people. This evening we have our cooks who are Yogeshwar and his family. Thank you so much. And we also, that's all. Just a quick reminder, Kalakanta from Florida, will be visiting us next week and having class in the mornings for those that come to the morning program, and then of course the Sunday program. How are you? So now just one quick announcement before we and again 8 o'clock, so I'll give you a reminder. And then I'll give you another.
I'll get my prashad.
Then we'll be getting our plates.
We want to take our plate.
Iskcon.